there and welcome to the new West of Scotland football podcast. We'll be bringing you analysis and our reaction and opinions to the game in the West of Scotland, as the title suggests. We've got sports editors from around the region. We've got myself from the Kilmarnock Standard, Eric McGowan from the Irvine Herald, Mark Pirie from Lanarkshire Live Sport, who covers a number of papers in Lanarkshire, and Fraser Clarke from the Lennox Herald. We'll just say hello to you first, Eric.
All right, how you doing, Lochlin?
Not too bad, not too bad. And Mark?
All right, how's things in Ayrshire, Lochlin?
Yes, sunny as always. And Fraser?
Now that we've got over my kind of technical hitches, I'm delighted that everyone can hear my voice again. It's been too long since the good people of Scotland were subjected to my views on Scottish lower league football.
I don't know if the listeners will agree. We've been delighted to hear your voice, but hey. So we'll just get right into it. Obviously, West of Scotland football podcast will be covering all kinds of football in the region, but the best place to start in this episode is the new West of Scotland League, which has been created from the West Region junior teams moving over to this new setup in the pyramid, and there's a couple of other teams joining in as well from various other places. So originally it was meant to be an all-in kind of conference system with 67 teams split across 4 or 5 conferences, but the way it's worked out, there's now a 20-team top flight, and the other 47 teams will go into a kind of conference in Tier 7. So we'll just start with you first, Mark. Just your thoughts on the overall West of Scotland League, instead of the juniors. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it is a good move. I think it's good that the juniors or those kind of clubs with big supports are now part of the pyramid system. I think that's something that did have to happen at some point. There's clubs there that have really big supports, big fan bases that would really contribute to the Lowland League or League 2, even if they could reach that level, and I don't doubt some of them will. I think it definitely could have went a lot smoother than the early hitches with the changes in the conferences, because obviously that wasn't what people agreed to. But I think long term, you're looking at a lot of benefits for Scottish football, with teams maybe going up in a couple of years, maybe 5 years' time. The Lowland League realistically could be one of the most competitive divisions in Scotland, if all the top junior teams like the Pollocks and Talbots are in it. So yeah, I think it is good. I think just how we got here is maybe not the best way it happened, but I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about that later.
And Eric, you're probably the most versed in the juniors in here because you cover a junior team every week. Just get your thoughts on it. It's going to be a brand new system.
I mean, as you say, I don't have a senior team on my patch, so for me, it's something I'm really looking forward to, just covering the junior sides that I would normally do, and to see how where the glass ceiling is for them. I mean, there's several clubs that I would cover that I would say are really ambitious, and they're making quite bold statements about how far they can go into the pyramid system. So from that point of view, I'm really looking forward to kicking off. I think the top flight looks really strong. It's going to be really competitive. And as Mark was saying, it's a shame there's been a bit of eruptions surrounding getting to this point. Yeah. But I think if the 20-team league can be as good as it looks on paper, then I think everybody's in for a treat. I think it's going to be a cracking competition.
And Fraser, I don't think there's many people that's got as good a knowledge of lower league Scottish football as you. What's your thoughts about these junior teams, coming into the system?
I think the first thing is that the name of it is going to help professionalise things a lot. I think all 4 of us will have had issues where we've said to people who maybe aren't as well versed in lower league football as we are that we're going to a junior game at the weekend, or no, they're a junior team, and people assume that it's kids football or something like that. I think yes, it's historic, and I understand that there are kind of a sentimental connection, or there is a sentimental connection with the name junior football. But I think losing the name and rebranding as a West of Scotland League, first of all, is just a big step forward. And that's something that I think a lot of clubs, particularly the clubs who are maybe looking and have aspirations to progress up the leagues a wee bit. I'm thinking ambitious Ayrshire clubs like Kilmarnock being one, with the new ground, a lot of younger people involved to get more of a younger fan base involved. They're going to relish saying that they're in the West of Scotland League, first of all. It's an easier thing to sell to people. I think it's exciting for clubs at the moment. My worry is that say 2 or 3 years down the line, unless there is maybe more promotion to the Lowland League and more promotion to league football, will it become a bit stale? Will it just become the same as juniors but with a different name? That's the only worry for me. But at the moment, and certainly talking to people involved with it, they're so excited to be senior clubs. I was talking to Brian Brown, who's the manager of the only junior team in my patch, Vale of Leven, this morning, and he said just the excitement of bringing senior football back to Alexandria for the first time since, the 30s or something like this is, a huge thing for the club. And it gives everyone the feeling of a fresh start. How long that'll last, I don't know. But at the moment, I think a lot of clubs are using this as the opportunity to maybe get out into the community a wee bit more, connect with a younger fan base, and get more local people behind their local clubs.
I think the last point there is very good, because I think the junior brand, it's quite hard to sell to younger fans. So if now these younger fans can say, oh, well, we're this many leagues away from, the League 2 or League 1, it's a good kind of feeling. That, would you agree?
I think there's something as well, and I kind of hate stealing English ideas, given that we rebranded our leagues as the Championship, League 1 and League 2, but English non-league football and Scottish, as was non-league football, have very, very different images. I think when I think of English non-league football, when you see it on the FA Cup and things like that, or teams like Dulwich Hamlet, they've got a kind of hipster edge to them. They're kind of seen as quite cool and quite trendy. Junior football didn't have that, and it had its own character. It had its own kind of, unique character, which I hope it doesn't lose. But it maybe needed something to make it a bit cooler, to make it a bit more attractive to people. And I think another thing that a lot of clubs are now doing, and I'm thinking in my kind of local area, from Chapel United, who have came in, are a club with a kind of really, really strong youth team behind them. Clydebank are another one. Vale of Leven have agreed a partnership with a local boys club, basically, to become a Vale of Leven feeder team all the way through with the Development League. That's so exciting for getting more younger people having a connection with their club. If you're from Clydebank, if you're from the Vale, if you're from wherever, there's a chance that you can play for your local team. And I think for all of us, if we get the opportunity to play for a team representing our hometown, that would be a bit of a dream come true.
Of course.
I don't know if I'll get that chance now, but the dream's there.
There's still time.
And just to kind of move on to the new format, obviously we've discussed kind of how we got there. It's not the best of ways probably, but it's going to be a 20-team top flight. It'll be the 16 teams from last year's junior premiership, West Junior Premiership, plus Bonnet and Thistle, who were at Tier 6 in the South of Scotland League, and then 3 teams were promoted from the Championship. And I'll go to you, Mark, because you cover Team 21 as they're known. Shots. They're obviously not happy with how it's kind of been decided. How have Shots reacted to this?
Well, initially, obviously, there was anger, and it seemed like there'd been kind of calming talks over the weekend. But I don't think, speaking to the manager earlier this week, John McGowan, there doesn't seem to have really calmed anything for them. I think their hope is that they'll get some kind of benefit from this, or be included even maybe in the top flight at some point. But then you're just getting to a point where you just keep extending it, and how do you do that? But I think just their main contention is that they agreed to the conferences across the board, and they don't see why that shouldn't be the case. And then it could, although the SFA have obviously knocked it back, but then the conferences should then build a top flight like was originally the kind of proposal. I think, they're very, very unhappy with it at Shots, and you can understand that. Obviously the season's been called early, and now they have not got the opportunity to complete those games. They were unlikely maybe to challenge for the top 3, but to be left behind, I think is a better pill to swallow when you see maybe teams like Rutherglen, Glencairn, who were struggling a wee bit at the bottom of the top flight for a long time. Although I know Rutherglen are absolutely buzzing because they get to, as Fraser kind of touched on, they got to bring back senior football to Rutherglen, which is for the first time since Clyde left Shawfield. So that's a great thing for them. But I think for Shots, it's been a better pill to swallow that they're kind of left behind in these Tier 7 conferences.
Yeah, and Eric, I'll just move to you. What do you make of the 20-team top flight? Do you think they've reached the right decision there?
Well, the only issue I can see is if it's going to be a 38-game season, I do not see how they can squeeze that. And even in normal circumstances, when you're factoring in the cup competitions, it's going to be a struggle. And again, I mean, it's pretty unclear whether that's going to be the case. There's nothing been set in stone with that. So, I mean, I think there are obviously teams like Shotts and various other teams are not happy with the way it's panned out. Certainly, Matt Area or Drawson are similar to that. They're not as vociferous in their objections to it, but they've been left the only Ayrshire team in Conference C. You know, I think there's 8. The split is 8-3, 4 if you include Kello and the other one, and just themselves in that one. So they've lost local interest completely, and obviously they face a fair bit of travelling. One of the things their manager Stevie Wilson was saying, he doesn't blame the clubs for the top flight clubs for pushing for to be for the West Region Premiership to move wholesale, and then Darvel, Blantyre, Cumbernauld all going up. He doesn't begrudge those clubs, because he says if I was in their position, I would do the same. But I think there's just this, it's just a bit of a bitter pill for the teams who thought they were getting a chance of maybe a Talbot, a couple of top flight teams in each conference. Now they've lost that. So I think that's where a bit of the bad feeling lies. But as I say, going back to the original point, I think going forward, I don't think a 20-team league is going to happen. It may happen this year, but I can't see it continuing. However they decide to split up the leagues in the future, I think 16 teams is pretty much maximum you can go there.
Yeah, and Fraser, I'll go on to you now. We heard from Mark, obviously, about the Shotts concerns, but I suppose there is an argument that if they win their conference now, they'll be promoted. So effectively, they need to be the 21st best team rather than being in the top 16 teams as it would have been in an all-in system. So is there a kind of argument that they've maybe got a better chance of getting promotion?
I think so, and I think however they did it, if they were going to do a Premiership, they were always going to upset somebody. Now, whether it was no promotion in a team like Darvel or someone like that from the league below was going to be upset, or whether they had to have a cut-off point and it's Shotts who have kind of unfortunately missed out. But from their point of view, okay, they're going to miss out on big games this season, but what better way to fire up a squad than basically saying, go and win this league and get us back to where we believe that we should be? I mean, I can fully understand why they are disappointed about it, but from their point of view, maybe this is going to be a good way of getting people fired up. And the first season, I mean, I don't think any of us know this season when it's going to start or how it's going to work. And, to squeeze in 38 games if a season starts in October, how they're going to do that when teams don't have floodlights or they don't have the best of pitches or whatever, I really don't have a clue. Maybe this isn't the worst thing in the world for Shotts, although I accept at the moment they'll be looking at the teams who are going up from their division and getting to, go to Beechwood and places like that, Newlandsfield, and think, we're missing out. That really should, that should be us, or we're gutted we're not involved in that. I also understand why when you've signed up.
Obviously, as well, like Blantyre Vicks in that division were declared co-champions with Darvel, and it's seemingly initially they were not going to get promoted to this new top flight, so that would have seemed very harsh on them. So yeah, I do agree with you, Fraser. Shotts will be disappointed, but I guess at some point, how far do you extend this top flight? And you touched on it, Eric, you're already struggling to fit in games and stuff like that, so how far do you let it go, and then essentially you're back with one massive conference or something in the end of it? So a line, I guess, did have to be drawn, and it is just really, really unfortunate for Shotts that they fall on the wrong side of that line and miss out on these potentially big paydays and big crowds coming to Hannah Park.
Yeah, and we'll go back to Eric. Going forward, how do you see them? You say 16 is the optimal league, and I tend to agree with you. But I mean, how do you get back to 16? Because you couldn't have 7 teams getting relegated or whatever. That just seems ridiculous.
Funnily enough, and it's like you, I find that hard. They make a bit of a mockery if you have 7 teams going down. But that's, speaking to a couple of managers, that seems to be what the rumour mill is, that's going to happen. That 7 will go down and 3 back up. But I don't know. Again, it's a bit unclear. I mean, we know who's in what division, but we don't know yet how it's all going to pan out in terms of relegations. I mean, that if it is indeed 7 teams go down, that league is going to be absolute cutthroat. I mean, and you could have some big teams going down who, traditionally big teams going down into a conference system. I think ultimately that's why as well the bigger clubs wouldn't have wanted a conference system to begin with, because I think there might have been a few who might not have got out it at the first time. There's ambitious teams and coming up through the ranks who be a real threat to the likes of the teams in the bottom half of the West Premiership, for example. So, aye. I don't know. To me, there's still a lot of clouded issues that need to be cleared up before we can discuss how it's going to work next year.
And what about yourself, Mark? Do you reckon there's maybe scope to have 5 going down or 4 going down this year, then the same the next year? Is it maybe a way of staggering it, or do you think it's
7 there when you said that? I was like, oh, that sounds like a lot of teams are really going to be left unhappy at the end of that season. And you're right, a lot of teams who pushed for this probably or were keen on the top flight will be going straight down to that conference system. But I think maybe 5 or something like that would be reasonable, and then you maybe have the 3 champions of those conferences going up with another 2 teams going down. So because I think it maybe does, if you extend it that far up, it does kind of make it a bit ridiculous almost that almost half of your division is getting relegated in the very first season. I think 5's a reasonable number to maybe curtail some of the games, and maybe you can start bringing in the cup competitions again after that, after you kind of even things out a wee bit.
And obviously the thing as well, you've got to remember, it's now a pyramid, so there's teams can come down from the league above, so you've kind of got to think about that. I'll go to you, Fraser, on this one. Obviously, if a team in the Lowland League gets relegated, then they're situated kind of round about the West of Scotland region, that's the league they're going to come into. So you've got to kind of balance that as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one, because this isn't, this kind of regional relegation pyramid isn't something that we've had to deal with in Scotland before, and you do wonder how they're going to do it. Now, at the moment, the Lowland League, you'd say, is predominantly east of Scotland, and you'd say maybe most of the teams who are looking at, struggling around the bottom of the Lowland League would be relegated into the East of Scotland League. So it's not our problem. It's a different podcast problem. But if a team was to go down, if a West of Scotland team was to go down and end up in, the West of Scotland League Premiership or whatever it's being called, at this stage, when they're already overflowing with teams, you start to wonder how they would manage that. What if they're in a situation where, say, the league goes down to 18 teams next season, and then an unexpected twist, there's a team relegated from the West of Scotland, goes up to a 19-team league, or does someone get saved, or does someone else get promoted, and then we've got another season with a 20-team league? I think the big thing is they need to be clear on this from the outset. Clubs, I would say, and managers certainly by and large, if you say to them, you know what, the bottom 5 teams have been relegated, they will back themselves to do this job on the park. If you then come back to the end of the season and say, oh, by the way, another team have came down, so bottom 6 go down, and the team who finished 6th from bottom end up relegated, that's when problems will kick off. I mean, obviously, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes with the kind of organisation of things. I would like to think that George Fraser and all those involved in the league have a kind of plan here and have spoken to clubs about it, because I think most will be understanding that we're in an unusual situation, starting a completely new, league system like this at a time like this where you have no idea where it's going to start. Mm-hmm. I'd like to think that clubs will be understanding of it, but they need to be told from the outset they can't have things changing mid-season or at the end of the season. That's where all hell would break loose, as we saw with the conference system, when clubs signed up on the basis that it would kind of all be equal and they might get a Pollock or a Talbot or a whoever coming down. All of a sudden, that got changed, and we very nearly saw a breakup of the league before it started. So I think communication is going to be absolutely key here, and I think if they communicate fine, clubs will be understanding with it.
Mm-hmm. And so we've discussed relegation from the Lowland League, so we'll go into teams that could potentially be promoted. There's obviously some forward-thinking teams. You cover one yourself, Eric, Kilmarnock. These teams are obviously going to need licences going forward. So, yeah, I mean, how is this process going to work for these teams?
Well, again, the whole pandemic thing, I mean, Kilmarnock had planned to do a lot of work from now, or from weeks ago, going forward to get organised, get their floodlights. They've got floodlights in the bag, so to speak. It's just a question of when work can start. Mm-hmm. So everything is held up. I mean, I think it might suit Kilmarnock to just have a year of stability in the top league, if you like. But you're right. I mean, there's teams in there who most of them aren't licensed. So where do they go? I mean, the first year could be a bit of a damp squib, really. Yep. But the licensing is going to be a big problem going forward in terms of teams managing to break through. and start genuinely going up the pyramid.
Yep, and Mark, is there any kind of teams in your area that you feel as if they're going to have a good strong push trying to get up the leagues?
I was looking at the list today, and I was thinking, well, it maybe does look tough initially for the teams. Obviously, Glens were struggling a bit last season in that division, but I see Vic's coming from the division below. I thought maybe it could be a wee bit of a dark horse. They've kind of rose through the ranks of the juniors fairly quickly, back-to-back promotions there, and they were on a 15-game winning run going into the season before it was locked down. So I think maybe they'd be the ones that I'd maybe look at as a bit of a dark horse, but I think they would obviously have some more problems with licensing and things like that, and maybe stadiums and stuff like that. But I'd like to think they'd make a decent fist of it for next season.
Mm-hmm. And Fraser, obviously yourself, covering a lot of Scottish lower league games, you'll know quite a bit about Auchinleck, seeing them in the Scottish Cup and stuff. Do you think they're maybe the best placed at the moment to kind of rise up the ranks?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw what Talbot did to Kelty Hearts in the Scottish Cup, and it was live on TV, and they just blew them away. And that's a Kelty team who are strolling the Lowland League. Now, obviously, it's a one-off game, and you can never judge it based on that. But there's absolutely no reason why Talbot can't, make hay in the Lowland League and push towards getting into the league themselves. My worry, regarding licensing and things like that is that we could have a situation where we have some good teams in the West of Scotland League who maybe don't have the money to improve their facilities to buy in floodlights, and who hit that kind of glass ceiling where they can't get licensed. I mean, how much of a shame would it be to see a club like take Blantyre Vics, if they continue on this run and they somehow manage to win the West of Scotland League at some point, but they don't have the financial backing, and they kind of hit a glass ceiling here? Mm-hmm. That would be a shame, and that's a bit of a worry of mine. On the other hand, I think there's clubs, and it pains me to say it obviously as a Dumbarton fan, but Clydebank have got fantastic facilities at home park now. I think they've underachieved a wee bit for the past couple of seasons, to be honest, but the kind of Dumbarton-Clydebank rivalry is a funny one because it's always been more of a sort of friendly rivalry than one that is fierce. And I think at the time when Clydebank went to the wall, there was a lot of Dumbarton fans who basically helped out to try and keep the club running, and obviously they ground shared at Boghead for a wee bit as well. So from a personal point of view, if it would be possible to get Clydebank back up in the senior leagues and get West Dumbartonshire derbies back, then that would be fantastic, up until we lost one, when it would be awful.
And, I mean, there's not much other to kind of speak about at the moment because it's all kind of, we don't know what's going on when the season's going to start. But as it stands, I'll just kind of go around, and Eric, I'll start with you. Just a wee kind of prediction of who you fancy to challenge. We'll just go with the top flight at the moment. We'll just speak about that, who you maybe fancy this season.
Yeah, I mean, as usual, it's hard to see past Talbot for winning the new league. But I think there are some dark horses. I mean, I think everybody will be keeping an eye on Darvel. Just the quality of players they're bringing in, the momentum that's behind them. They seem to have, the good backers there as well financially. So they're definitely one to watch. Kilwinning, as I say, they've good team, a good young team. They've kept the bulk of the squad together, so I think they could be up there challenging. But as I say, the likes of other, on the flip side of that, teams like Beefy have been traditionally strong, traditionally expected to challenge. They've lost a good chunk of their squad. They're rebuilding, so it's really hard to tell. But as usual, Talbot just stick out like a sore thumb in terms of they'll be the ones to catch, essentially.
Yep, and Mark, anything you can say different to that?
Not really. I'd put Talbot as my for the winners. I'd put Pollock in there as well, because they're kind of one of those traditionally strong teams, and maybe they'd fancy a bit of a go at it. You could see them putting a wee bit extra money in there. But yeah, Talbot, Pollock, and Kilwinning. That was a three I'd wrote there. But Darvel, obviously, definitely a dark horse. They've invested heavily in the juniors and potentially would have won the division outright to get promotion to the Premiership last season. So yeah, I'd say they'll have another real go at the top flight.
And I'll leave you with the scraps, Fraser. See if you can pick out anything else.
I was going to say, obviously they're a team that you'll know quite well, Darvel, but I'm really, really excited to see how they adapt to that. It is obviously a big step up, but I mean, you look at the signings they've made. early on. Jordan Kirkpatrick for juniors. This is a guy who was playing in the Premier League a couple of seasons ago. You know, he was top scoring for Alloa in League One. He's a kind of established, solid League One or Championship player. That's a fantastic signing for them. And it's not just that they are kind of throwing money at it. Obviously, they're well backed, but I think anybody from the outside can't fail to be impressed by Michael Kennedy and what he's done there. They just seem to have something really, really good going, and it's not, you know, a situation where they've just gone out and bought all the best players and are trying to climb up. They've done it in a sensible way. I don't think Michael Kennedy's signing players who he doesn't think he'll be able to get the most out of. You know, you sometimes see clubs when they get a big name or a big backer, they'll go out and sign a load of big names, but they won't gel together as a team, or the manager won't be able to keep a hold of them, or, you know, the character will be misjudged. He's got players who he knows buy into what they're trying to do there. It's probably too early for them to challenge for a title, you would say, but give it the next, 2-3 seasons, and if it continues like it is, I don't see any reason why they can't be right up at the top end, you know, challenging the likes of Talbot, especially if teams end up getting promoted. Space is going to open up for a new Ayrshire powerhouse.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. As you say, Darvel are one of the teams I cover on a regular basis. And Michael Kennedy, he's an ambitious manager, you know, and he's young and he's driven as well. He's had a lot of success with Colville Park in the amateurs. You know, he's won countless amateur cups, leagues, and he knows how to win. That's an important thing, you know. I know most managers will fancy themselves as knowing how to win, but he's got a lot of trophies under his belt, and maybe not as many junior managers have that as in the dugout as such. So I think that's kind of key as well. And you know, with John Gall being there, he's the chairman. He's kind of well connected as well in the area. So I mean, myself, I fancy Darvel to certainly push Pollock winning Talbot, and it's going to be an exciting league. But I agree with that, Eric.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I don't get to see as much as a Darvel, but from what I've seen of them, I mean, they've got some quality players there as well. The likes of Darren Miller, who's played at a good level as well. Guy scores worldies every week. He's unreal. So, and I'm sure that the signings that they're bringing in, they're only going to get stronger. So, I can see Darvel. I can actually see them. If anybody's going to give Talbot problems next year, I think Darvel could be a team that really, it could be a wee thorn on the side there.